You will never visit the vast majority of the stars you see tonight, no matter how long our civilization endures. We are trapped inside a cosmic bubble of roughly 18 billion light years, and everything beyond that limit is lost to us forever. Scientists using the latest 2026 cosmology data have confirmed that we live in a universe that is effectively cutting us off from the rest of existence. Even the fastest human-made object can barely leave our solar system, let alone cross the unimaginable gulfs between the drifting galaxies. It is a sobering realization that arrives not with a shout, but with the quiet murmur of equations settling into their final, undeniable sums. We exist within a silent enclosure of accessible light, a finite sphere of causality that is drifting alone through a multiverse of absolute darkness. The universe we have been taught to imagine is infinite in its potential, yet our interaction with it is bound by a strict and unbreakable horizon. There are galaxies we can see today in our telescopes that have already passed beyond the point of no return, their light reaching us from a ghost past. We are looking at cosmic tombstones, ancient images of places that have long since been swept away by the relentless swelling of the empty space. This limit defines the ultimate cage of human ambition, a boundary that no engine or warp drive or wormhole theory can ever truly overcome. It forces us to look inward, to examine the tiny, fragile island of warmth where we have evolved, and to measure our steps carefully. Before we can understand the terrifying scale of the unreachable galaxies, we must first understand the desperate vastness of our own immediate backyard. There is a traveler out there, a metallic speck of human ingenuity that has been drifting away from us for nearly 50 years. It is the Voyager 1 probe, and in the year 2026, it currently floats in the silence at a distance of 163 astronomical units. To understand this distance is to understand the first layer of our isolation. For this machine is the farthest object human hands have ever touched. It moves through a darkness so profound that the sun appears only as a piercingly bright star, lacking the warmth to heat the probe's metal skin. The radio signals it sends back to Earth, whispering across the void with the power of a refrigerator light bulb, take nearly 23 hours to arrive. Imagine sending a message to the stars, only to realize that by the time it arrives, the civilization that sent it might be gone. We are listening to a ghost in the machine, a voice from yesterday speaking to a world that has already moved on by a full rotation. The probe is silent now in ways that we can barely comprehend, drifting through the interstellar medium with its camera eyes turned off to save power. It carries a golden record, a bottle in the cosmic ocean, waiting for eyes that will likely never see it and ears that cannot hear. The journey of this single machine tells the story of our limitations, for after half a century of maximum speed, it has barely left the porch. It has crossed the heliopause, the boundary where the solar wind gives way to the cold, crushing pressure of the gas between the stars. But it has not yet left the solar system, and in truth, it will not leave the gravitational hold of the solar system for thousands of years. We often imagine the solar system ends where the planets end, but the gravitational reach of our star extends far beyond the orbit of Neptune. Beyond the scattered disk and the frozen silence of the Kuiper Belt, there lies a structure so vast it defies the human capacity for visualization. It is called the Oort Cloud, a spherical shell of icy debris that surrounds our sun like a thick, impenetrable cocoon of frozen history. This is the true boundary of our home, a region where comets sleep in the darkness, waiting for a gravitational nudge to send them falling toward the inner fires. The Voyager probe, for all its speed and all its years of travel, has not even reached the inner edge of this massive shell. That is like driving a car at full speed for 50 years and realizing you have not yet left your own driveway. It will take the probe another 300 years just to reach the beginning of the Oort Cloud, and 30,000 years to cross it. Think of that duration, 30,000 years of silent drifting, just to exit the gravitational influence of our own singular, lonely star. Civilizations will rise and fall, continents will shift, and languages will vanish while that small machine continues its endless, passive fall through the dark. It puts the concept of the cosmic bubble into a perspective that is both humiliating and strangely, quietly beautiful in its impossible scale. If we cannot even escape our own star's gravity well within the time frame of recorded human history, how can we dream of crossing the deep voids? The Oort Cloud is barely a fraction of a light year in thickness, a mere dusting of ice relative to the galaxy. Yet it is a wall. It represents a prison wall of distance that we have only scratched with our finest and fastest creation, a simple arrow shot into the night. The emptiness between the Oort Cloud and the nearest star system, Alpha Centauri, is a gulf that swallows the mind with its nothingness. It is not merely empty space. It is a desert of quantum fluctuations and stray hydrogen atoms, stretching for 4 light years of absolute silence. When you look at the night sky, you see a crowded tapestry of lights, giving you the false impression that the universe is dense and interconnected. But the reality of 2026 cosmology reveals that these lights are lonely islands, separated by oceans of time that are expanding every second. You think the stars are close enough to touch, but they are already running away from you faster than you can ever chase them. The gaps are widening, the silence is deepening, and the fabric of reality is stretching thin, pulling the potential destinations away from our reach. We are like a child standing on a small raft in the middle of the Pacific, believing we can swim to the horizon. The horizon is always receding, moving away from us faster than we can swim, faster than we can build, faster than we can dream. The silence of the Voyager probe is the silence of the future, a preview of the isolation that awaits any vessel that dares to venture out. Even with the theoretical updates of the Breakthrough Starshot initiatives in 2026, which propose tiny laser-sailed wafers, we face the same wall. These tiny crafts might reach 20% of the speed of light, crossing the gulf to Alpha Centauri in perhaps 20 or 30 years. But they are merely dust motes, incapable of carrying a human, incapable of slowing down. Flyby ghosts snapping blurry pictures before vanishing into the dark. To send a human, a biological entity requiring warmth and air and time, across these distances is a challenge that borders on the impossible. The energy required to accelerate a ship massive enough to sustain life to even a fraction of light speed is staggering to the human mind. It would require the entire energy output of our civilization for decades, focused into a single beam, a single push into the unknown. And even then, the journey would take generations, a floating metal sarcophagus where children are born and elders die in the void between stars. They would forget the smell of rain, the color of the blue sky, and the feeling of solid ground beneath their feet. They would be creatures of the corridor, living in the artificial hum of recycled air, watching the home star fade until it is indistinguishable from the background. This is the reality of the cosmic bubble, a limit imposed not just by the expansion of space, but by the fragility of our biology. We are evolved for a specific gravity, a specific atmosphere, a specific radiation environment, and a specific connection to the rhythms of our planet. To leave this bubble is to strip away the very things that make us human, to become something else, something colder and more machine-like. The Oort Cloud waits for us, a barrier of billions of comets, a chaotic minefield of ice that marks the edge of the sun's dominance. It is crowded with hunger, a hunger for the energy of the star that barely reaches it, a region of eternal twilight. No sunlight warms these bodies. They are at the temperature of the cosmic background, barely vibrating above absolute zero, preserving the chemistry of the early solar system. To travel through this cloud is to travel through a graveyard of the planets that never formed, the leftover bricks of creation. It is a place of shadows, where the sun is just the brightest star in the sky, indistinguishable from Sirius or Canopus to the naked eye. If you were floating there, drifting among the ice giants, you would feel an isolation so total it would shatter the human mind. There is no up, no down, no day, no night, only the endless rotation of the celestial sphere and the beating of your own heart. This is the boundary we must cross to even begin the journey to the unreachable limit, the 16 billion light-year horizon. We speak of billions of light years easily, the numbers rolling off our tongues like phone numbers or bank balances, devoid of their true weight. But consider that a single light year is roughly 6 trillion miles, a distance that a commercial jet would take millions of years to fly. Multiply that by 16 billion, and you begin to approach the edge of the screen, the wall where the pixels of reality fade. The observable universe is a term that deceives us, implying that if we can see it, we can potentially touch it or visit it. But the light we see from those distant galaxies left them when the universe was young, long before the Earth was born, before the sun ignited. While that light was traveling to us, the space between us and the source was expanding, stretching like a rubber band, carrying the galaxy away. The galaxy is no longer where we see it. It has moved, carried by the dark energy flow into the unobservable, the unreachable. We are looking at a mirage, a postcard from a friend who has already moved to a country that no longer exists on any map. The sadness of this realization is tempered by the awe of the mechanism, the sheer elegance of a universe that protects its secrets with distance. Dark energy, the mysterious force that is accelerating this expansion, acts as the great isolator, ensuring that cosmic civilizations can likely never meet. It creates pockets of causality, lonely bubbles where life can flourish and dream of the stars, but never truly possess them. We are quarantined by physics, locked in a cell whose walls are made of expanding vacuum, a prison that gets larger every second. This 2026 understanding of our limits forces a re-evaluation of our place, shifting us from conquerors of the void to guardians of our tiny oasis. The Voyager probe, currently 163 astronomical units away, is our scout, confirming the emptiness that lies ahead. It measures the density of the plasma, the strength of the magnetic fields, and reports back that the universe is mostly empty rooms. It tells us that the warmth we enjoy is an anomaly, a rare fluctuation in a cosmos that is overwhelmingly cold, dark, and indifferent. As the probe moves further into the dark, the signal becomes fainter, a whisper that requires the largest antennas on Earth to detect. Soon, its nuclear power source will decay below the level needed to keep the instruments warm, and it will fall silent forever. It will continue to drift, a dead monument to a civilization that once looked up and wondered if it could touch the infinite. It will become a comet made of metal, perhaps to be captured by another star in 1 billion years, or perhaps to drift eternally. The Oort Cloud is the first hurdle, but beyond it lies the true abyss, the interstellar medium, where the density of matter drops to almost nothing. Here, particles are so rare that a cubic centimeter of space might contain only a single atom of hydrogen, drifting in the void. It is a vacuum more perfect than any laboratory on Earth can create, a place where sound is impossible and light travels unobstructed. To travel through this is to travel through nothingness, a sensation of suspended animation where movement loses all meaning without landmarks. If you were on a ship in deep interstellar space with the engines off, you would feel absolutely no sensation of speed or direction. You could be moving at half the speed of light, yet without a nearby star to provide reference, you would feel motionless. You would be suspended in the amber of the cosmos, trapped in a moment that stretches for centuries, with only the slow shift of stars to mark time. This sensory deprivation is the texture of the universe, the default state of existence for the vast majority of the cosmos. Planets, stars, and galaxies are the exceptions, the rare clutter in a room that is otherwise vast, clean, and terrifyingly empty. Our biological clocks are tuned to the rotation of a rock, the rising of a sun, the rhythm of tides and seasons. Out there is no time, only duration, a seamless flow of entropy where events happen over millions of years. The cosmic bubble we inhabit is defined by this slowness, this incredible resistance to quick movement or rapid change. We are trapped in amber, observing the universe through the distorted glass of time dilation and light speed delays, seeing only the past. When we look at the Andromeda Galaxy, we see it as it was 2.5 million years ago, when humans were just learning to make tools. We are not seeing the universe as it is. We are seeing a history documentary, a projection of events that have already concluded. The now of the universe is inaccessible to us. We are forever lagging behind, chasing the ghost of the present moment. The limit of 16 to 18 billion light years is the limit of our potential now, the boundary of causal connection. Anything beyond that is causally disconnected from us. What happens there can never affect us, and what we do can never affect them. It is as if those regions belong to a different universe entirely, a separate reality that happens to share the same space-time continuum. This fragmentation of the cosmos into isolated bubbles is a profound concept, suggesting that the universe is a collection of lonely archipelagos. We are on one island, and we can see other islands in the distance, but the ocean between us is expanding faster than any boat can sail. We can wave, we can send signals, but the signals will fade into the red shift, stretching until they become silence. The civilization on the other side, if it exists, is moving away from us, carried by the dark current of the expanding void. They are receding into the darkness, and eventually, their light will be extinguished from our sky, leaving us alone. But let us return to the Voyager probe, our humble proxy, which is still fighting the darkness with its small, decaying heart. It represents the optimism of a species that did not yet understand the full tyranny of the rocket equation or the expansion. It was launched in an era of dreams when we believed that the planets were stepping stones to the stars. Now, in 2026, we understand that the steps are too far apart. The stones are slippery with radiation, and the river is too wide. Yet there is a beauty in the attempt, a nobility in the gesture of throwing a bottle into the sea, even if no one is there to catch it. The probe carries music, greetings in 55 languages, and the brainwaves of a woman in love, encoded in copper and gold. These sounds are now vibrating in the silence of the heliopause, playing to an audience of hydrogen atoms and cosmic rays. It is a performance for the void, a declaration of existence shouted into a canyon that has no bottom and no echo. The Oort Cloud, that massive shell of ice, will eventually claim Voyager, swallowing it into its vast, slow-moving flock of comets. It will become just another piece of debris, distinguished only by its strange shape and the radioactive heat it faintly emits. It will join the swarm of frozen bodies that orbit the sun with agonizing slowness, taking millennia to complete a single circuit. There, in the cold dark, it will wait, perhaps for a future human explorer to find it, or perhaps to be ground to dust. This is the scale of our prison, a cell so large that we can spend 1,000 lifetimes exploring it and never touch the walls. The tiny cosmic bubble mentioned by the scientists is only tiny in comparison to the infinite, unreachable expanse beyond. To us, it is a staggering, overwhelming abyss, a space so large that the human mind recoils from the true comprehension of it. We use metaphors, we use numbers, we use animations, but we cannot truly feel the distance of 16 billion light years. We cannot even truly feel the distance to the moon, which is a mere heartbeat away in cosmic terms, a momentary pause. The journey to the edge of the observable bubble is a journey through layers of increasing emptiness and deepening silence. It begins with the familiar silence of a desert night, moves to the silence of the deep ocean, and ends in the absolute silence of intergalactic space. It is a silence that is not merely the absence of sound, but the absence of anything that could possibly make a sound. It is a silence that has existed for 13 billion years, a heavy, thick blanket that smothers the fires of the galaxies. Within our bubble, the galaxies are arranged in filaments, great webs of light that string together like pearls in the dark. But between these filaments lie the voids, the great bubbles of nothing, where galaxies are rare and the darkness is absolute. We are currently drifting near the edge of such a void, a local emptiness that separates us from the nearest large clusters. We are country dwellers in the cosmic city, living on a quiet road far from the bustling downtown of the Virgo cluster. This isolation is our protection, shielding us from the violent radiation and gravitational chaos of the dense galactic centers. But it also deepens our loneliness, placing us in a quiet backwater where the news from the rest of the universe arrives late. The light we see is old news, reports of stellar deaths and births that happened before our species walked upright. The concept of the reachable universe shrinks every day as the expansion pushes more galaxies over the horizon. Every day we lose a little more of the cosmos as the edge of the bubble tightens around us, unseen but mathematically certain. It is a slow suffocation of possibility, a gradual closing of the doors that we never even had the chance to open. The universe is not waiting for us. It is leaving us behind, rushing away into a future where we cannot follow. This is the shocking truth that the title promised, a truth that does not frighten with monsters, but with simple, cold geometry. The monster is the metric expansion of space, the relentless creation of more distance between every point in the cosmos. It is a treadmill that moves faster the further you run, a game that is rigged against the traveler from the very start. And yet, we are still here, clinging to our rock, listening to the faint signals from our robot ambassador. Voyager 1 serves as the anchor for our consciousness, a tangible point of reference in the abstraction of deep space. As long as it speaks, we have a footprint in the dark, a tiny claim on the territory beyond the wind of the sun. But when it dies, we will shrink back to the heliopause, our reach retracting like a hand pulling back from a fire. The darkness of the Oort Cloud will once again be an unblemished mystery, a realm of shadows where no human eye has peered. The boundaries of the solar system are not drawn in neon lines, but in the subtle gradients of particle density and magnetic pressure. We are crossing a threshold of understanding, realizing that the solar system is not a place we leave, but a place we are part of. The atmosphere of the sun extends far beyond Pluto, bathing us in a tenuous soup of solar particles until the interstellar medium takes over. We are living inside the atmosphere of a star, breathing its exhalations, warmed by its fusion, protected by its magnetic field. To leave this protective bubble is to step out into the galactic rain, a sleet of high-energy cosmic rays that shred DNA. The Voyager probe measures this rain, reporting the increase in intensity as it moves further from the sheltering arm of the sun. It is a hostile, sterilized environment where the fundamental forces of the universe wage a silent war on complexity. Life is a fragile anomaly here, a soap bubble floating in a room full of needles, miraculously unpopped. The Oort Cloud acts as a reservoir, a deep storage of the water and organic compounds that may have seeded life on Earth. It is a halo of potential, a frozen library of the chemicals that make up our bodies and our oceans. In a sense, we are made of the same stuff as those distant comets, organized by the energy of the sun into thinking matter. We are the Oort Cloud waking up and looking at itself, a fragment of the solar system attempting to understand the whole. But the understanding comes with a price, the heavy knowledge of our confinement within the bubble of accessible space-time. We look at the redshift of the distant galaxies, and we see the bars of our cell made of light and time. We calculate the speed of the expansion, and we measure the thickness of the walls, finding them impenetrable. There is no key, no secret passage, no cheat code to bypass the speed of light or the expansion of the dark. We are here, and we are here forever, bound to the local group of galaxies that are gravitationally bound to us. The rest of the universe is a spectacle, a grand show put on for our benefit, but forever out of our reach. We can watch, we can record, we can wonder, but we can never touch, never visit, never truly know. This is the nature of the cosmic horizon, a line drawn in the sand of reality that says, this far and no farther. As we drift towards the end of this first realization, the mind begins to settle into the acceptance of this vast, quiet limit. The panic of entrapment gives way to a strange comfort, a feeling of being tucked into a corner of the infinite. If we cannot go everywhere, then the place where we are becomes infinitely more important, more sacred. The Earth is not just a rock. It is one of the few places in the bubble where the universe can feel itself. The Voyager probe continues its journey, a microscopic speck against the backdrop of the Milky Way, moving away from the light. It travels toward the constellation of Ophiuchus, the Serpent Bearer, though it will not reach any star for 40,000 years. It is a message in a bottle that will outlast the civilization that threw it, a testament to our brief moment of reaching. The silence around it is not empty. It is full of the potential energy of the vacuum, the dark matter that binds the galaxy. The probe is entering a region where the sun is just another star, indistinguishable from the thousands of others that litter the black. It is losing its home, drifting into the anonymous population of the galaxy, becoming a true interstellar object. And as it fades, our imagination follows it, stretching out into the dark, feeling the cold, sensing the depth. We are projecting our consciousness into the void, riding on the back of a machine that is slowly freezing to death. The boundary of the Oort Cloud is not a wall, but a gradient, a slow transition from the solar family to the galactic stream. It is a region of soft shadows and deep cold, where the gravity of the sun fights a losing battle with the rest of the galaxy. Here, the comets dance a slow waltz, taking eras to complete a single turn, moving in silence. It is a graveyard of ice, a nursery of potential, a barrier of distance that protects us and imprisons us. And beyond this cloud, beyond the reach of our finest machines, the true scale of the cosmic bubble begins to unfold. The distance to the nearest star is a chasm that makes the Oort Cloud look like a thin line of dust. Alpha Centauri shines with a steady light, a tantalizing neighbor that remains frustratingly, agonizingly out of reach. The light we see from it is 4 years old, a message from the recent past, a ghost of a star that might have flared. We are always looking back in time, always disconnected from the true present of the universe, always alone in our own time zone. The speed of light is the speed of causality, and it is a speed limit that creates a universe of isolated islands. We are shouting across the ocean, but the wind carries our voices away, and the waves swallow our signals. We are left with the hum of the background radiation, the static of the Big Bang, the only song the universe knows. It is a lullaby of creation, a hiss of microwave energy that permeates every cubic centimeter of the cosmos. It is the afterglow of the beginning, the cooling embers of the fire that started it all, fading into the dark. We tune our radios to the sky, and we hear it, a constant reminder of where we came from and where we are going. It is the sound of the bubble expanding, the sound of the horizon receding, the sound of the dark energy work. As we contemplate the Voyager probe drifting into this ancient static, we realize that we are also drifting. The Earth is a spaceship, the Sun is an engine, and the galaxy is a vessel moving through the universe. We are not stationary. We are rushing through the cosmos at incredible speeds, moving toward a destiny we cannot see. But relative to the expansion, relative to the distant galaxies, we are standing still, trapped in our local volume. The paradox of motion and stasis, of infinite space and finite reach, settles into the mind like a heavy, warm blanket. We are safe in our bubble, protected by the very distances that isolate us, hidden in the dark forest. The monsters of the deep universe, the quasars and the gamma ray bursts, are far away, behind the walls of distance. We are in a quiet room, a nursery for life, allowed to grow and dream because the universe is too big to disturb us. The silence of the Voyager probe is the silence of a child sleeping in a vast house, unaware of the storm outside. It drifts, it waits, it remembers the sun. It carries the golden record like a talisman against the dark. And as it moves deeper into the Oort Cloud, deeper into the shadow of the ice, it approaches the edge of our knowledge. The data stops, the signal fades, the imagination takes over, filling the void with dreams of what might be. We are left with the feeling of the bubble, the sensation of the boundary, the knowledge of the limit. It is not a cage of iron, but a cage of light, a sphere of influence that defines who we are. We are the people of the bubble, the travelers of the small island, the dreamers of the unreachable. And as the realization sinks in, as the scope of the prison becomes clear, we look to the next layer of the mystery. We look beyond the Oort Cloud, beyond the immediate neighborhood, to the mechanics of the barrier itself. We look to the speed of light, the absolute governor of our reality, the warden of the cosmic prison. Why is it there? Why is it finite? What happens when you try to push against the wall of C? The answers lie not in the cold ice of the comets, but in the fabric of space-time itself. The fabric of space-time is not merely a stage for our movements, but a thick and viscous ocean that resists the desperate ambition of our speed. It is a physical law that acts like a cosmic warden, ensuring that the islands of the universe remain forever separated by impassable gulfs of time. When we dream of crossing the void to the nearest star, we are dreaming of fighting the very geometry of the reality we inhabit. The speed of light is the absolute limit of causality, a universal speed bumps that prevents the simultaneous unfolding of events across the dark. To push against this wall requires a new kind of thinking, a shift from the fire of rockets to the silent pressure of pure light. In the quiet laboratories of the year 2026, a new vision of interstellar travel has begun to take a fragile and tentative shape. It is not a vision of massive ships with roaring engines, but of tiny, silent ghosts riding on the back of a laser beam. The Breakthrough Starshot initiative represents our acceptance of the bubble, an admission that we cannot go ourselves, so we must send our smallest avatars. These are not vessels of steel and iron, but wafers of silicon and sail material, no larger than a postage stamp held in your hand. They are designed to be lighter than a breath of air, fragile constructs that will be hurled into the abyss by a storm of light. The concept is a shift from the brute force of chemical explosions to the elegance of photon pressure acting on a gossamer sail. A vast array of lasers on Earth would combine their power into a single blinding column of coherent light aimed at the heavens. This beam would strike the light sail of the probe, transferring its momentum in a violent, silent shove that lasts for only a few minutes. In those few minutes, the tiny craft would be accelerated to 20% of the speed of light, a velocity that defies all human intuition. It would be a flash of movement, a sudden disappearance from the local frame of reference, leaving the solar system behind in a blur. For the first time in history, we are building a machine that will experience the universe differently than we do, through the lens of relativity. At 1/5 the speed of light, the journey to Alpha Centauri would take 20 years of Earth time, a single generation of waiting. But for the probe itself, time would slow down slightly, the years compressing into a shorter experience of silent, frozen endurance in the void. It is a journey that transforms distance into time, and time into a resource that must be spent with agonizing patience and hope. The probe would be a message in a bottle thrown with the strength of a god, crossing the ocean between the suns. Imagine the moment of departure, when the laser array ignites the sky, a pillar of energy that pierces the atmosphere and touches the void. The sail catches the light, glowing with the intensity of a star, and the tiny chip begins its headlong rush into the dark. It accelerates with a force that would crush a human body instantly, flattening organs and shattering bones under thousands of Gs. But the chip is solid state, a diamond of frozen logic that can withstand the crushing hand of acceleration without a single complaint. In minutes, it passes the moon. In hours, it passes Mars. In days, it leaves the realm of the planets entirely. This speed is a double-edged sword, for while it shortens the journey, it turns the interstellar medium into a terrifying gauntlet of danger. The space between stars is not truly empty, but filled with dust grains and hydrogen atoms that hang in the silence like mines. At 20% of the speed of light, a collision with a single grain of sand would deliver the energy of a bomb. The probe must survive this bombardment, relying on its shielding and the sheer statistical luck of the vast, empty loneliness. It is a bullet flying through a fog, hoping to miss the droplets of water, trusting in the emptiness of the path. As the solar system recedes, the sun becomes just another star, a bright point of light that offers no more warmth than the others. The probe enters the true interstellar medium, the deep ocean where the currents of the galaxy flow slow and cold and dark. Here, the silence is absolute, a heavy presence that presses against the senses, offering no data but the hiss of the cosmic background. The magnetic fields of the galaxy twist and turn, invisible rivers that guide the charged particles through the emptiness of the void. The probe drifts through this cathedral of nothingness, a speck of human intent lost in a structure that spans 100,000 light years. You might wonder if the probe feels lonely, if a machine can sense the crushing weight of the isolation it endures. It is programmed to sleep for much of the journey, waking only to check its course and measure the health of its systems. It is a sleeper ship without a crew, a consciousness suspended in the amber of circuitry, waiting for the destination to arrive. The stars around it do not stream past as they do in movies. They remain fixed and frozen, moving only with the slow drift of years. The universe at this speed is a static painting, a mural of light that changes so slowly the mind cannot perceive it. Only the destination star, Alpha Centauri, grows brighter, a slow-motion explosion of light that takes 2 decades to unfold in the sky. It begins as a single bright star, but as the years pass, it splits into 2, a binary pair dancing in the dark. Alpha Centauri, A and B, orbit each other in a gravitational waltz, 2 suns that share the loneliness of this sector of space. And there is a third, a small red dwarf called Proxima, drifting at a distance, the faint and angry guardian of the system. This is the target, the nearest neighbor to our home, the first island in the archipelago of the galaxy that we can reach. But even reaching it is a term that must be qualified, for the probe cannot stop, nor can it slow down. It carries no fuel to brake, no engines to reverse the tremendous momentum that was gifted to it by the laser beam. It is a flyby mission, a fleeting encounter that will last only a few hours after a journey of 20 long years. It will streak through the alien system at 60,000 kilometers per second, a flash of motion that the alien planets will barely notice. It will frantically snap pictures, record magnetic fields, and taste the solar wind of a foreign star before vanishing again. It is a tragic encounter, a desperate grasp at connection that ends as soon as it begins, leaving the probe to drift forever. The data it collects will be beamed back to Earth, a faint whisper of radio waves that must cross the 4-light-year gulf. We will not know if the mission succeeded for 4 years after the flyby, a delay that enforces patience on our species. We are sending a ghost to look at a ghost, for by the time we see the pictures, the planets will have moved on. The light from Alpha Centauri that we see tonight is old light, and the data we receive will be old data. We are trapped in the past, always observing the universe as it was, never as it is in this exact fleeting moment. The Starshot probe is an attempt to bridge this gap, to reduce the lag, to touch the now of another star system. But even at relativistic speeds, the universe forces us to wait, to endure the silence, to respect the scale of the separation. The distance of 4 light years is a barrier that makes conversation impossible, turning every exchange into a monologue sent into the dark. If there was someone there to receive us, they would hear our greeting 4 years after we spoke it into the void. And if they replied, we would hear them 4 years later still, a slow-motion dialogue that spans significant portions of a human life. This is the reality of our cosmic bubble, a region where communication is theoretically possible, but practically severed by the delay of light. The nearest star is not a neighbor in the traditional sense. It is a distant memory that we are trying to reconstruct. The probe will reveal if there are planets with oceans, with atmospheres, perhaps even with the green signature of biological life. But it will not give us a way to go there, nor a way to touch the surface, nor a way to return. It will simply confirm that there are other worlds, other bubbles of potential, floating in the same dark ocean that holds us. The silence of the journey is punctuated only by the occasional impact of an interstellar atom against the leading edge of the sail. These impacts create tiny flashes of plasma, microscopic sparks that are the only light the probe sees in the deep void. It is a journey through a tunnel of darkness, guided only by the distant beacon of the target star and the memory of home. The Earth, by now, is invisible to the naked eye, lost in the glare of the sun, which is itself just a star. To look back is to see nothing but a field of stars, with no sign that humanity ever existed or ever built a machine. This erasure of the self is a profound part of the journey, a spiritual stripping away of significance and ego. The probe is an emissary of a species that is learning its place, realizing that it is small, fragile, and utterly alone. The vastness of the space between the Sun and Alpha Centauri is a lesson in humility that no textbook can ever teach. It is a physical manifestation of the concept of infinity, a finite fraction of the endless that still breaks the mind. As the probe approaches the Alpha Centauri system, the gravitational pull of the stars begins to gently bend its trajectory. It must navigate the complex dance of the 3 stars, threading the needle to pass close to the habitable zone. This navigation must be autonomous, calculated by the frozen logic of the chip, for Earth is too far away to help. A command sent from Earth would take 4 years to arrive, by which time the probe would have long since passed the system. The machine is on its own, a solitary intelligence facing the unknown dynamics of an alien solar system. It will see the light of Alpha Centauri A, a star very much like our Sun, yellow and warm and steady in the sky. It will see Alpha Centauri B, slightly smaller and cooler, an orange companion that adds a strange double light to any planets. And it might see Proxima Centauri, the red dwarf, a volatile and dim star that flares with sudden, violent releases of energy. These are the suns that might warm other faces, other oceans, other leaves that drink in the light of a binary dawn. The probe will capture these images, freezing the alien light onto its sensors, storing the precious cargo of pixels and data. The encounter is a crescendo of activity after decades of silence, a frantic few hours of recording every possible photon. The cameras will slew, the spectrometers will sample, the magnetometers will listen to the song of the alien solar wind. And then, as quickly as it began, the system will recede behind the probe, shrinking back into a point of light. The probe will continue its rush into the void, carrying its treasure, turning its antenna back toward the distant speck of the sun. It will begin the long, slow process of transmitting the data, sending the images across the 4 light-year chasm. The signal will spread out as it travels, becoming weaker and weaker, until it is a whisper indistinguishable from the background noise. On Earth, massive arrays of receivers will listen for this whisper, straining to filter out the static of the galaxy. It will be a collective holding of breath, a global moment of waiting for the news from the nearest shore. Did we find a blue marble? Did we find a dry rock? Did we find nothing but the cold silence of dead worlds? The answer lies in the data stream, a sequence of ones and zeros flowing through the dark at the speed of light. But even if we find a paradise, a second Earth waiting for us in the warmth of Alpha Centauri, we cannot go. The technology that send the wafer, the giant lasers, the light sails, cannot scale up to carry a human body. We are biological entities, heavy sacks of water and carbon that require massive life support systems and radiation shielding. To send a human ship to Alpha Centauri would require energy levels that exceed the total output of our civilization for centuries. And the travel time would not be 20 years, but centuries or millennia, a multi-generational voyage into the dark. The humans who arrived would be the great-great-great-grandchildren of those who launched, strangers to the Earth that sent them. They would be a new species, evolved in the void, shaped by the silence and the artificial environment of the ship. So the Starshot probe represents the limit of our physical reach, the furthest extension of our senses, but not our bodies. We can look, we can listen, we can touch with our machines, but we cannot physically leave our bubble. The cosmic quarantine is effective, sealing us within the solar system, while allowing our minds to roam the immediate vicinity. The tiny cosmic bubble, described by the scientists, is not just a limit of travel, but a limit of biological presence. We are tethered to our star by the frailty of our bodies and the tyranny of the rocket equation. The universe beyond Alpha Centauri is even more remote, a series of steps that grow exponentially harder to take. The next star after Alpha Centauri is Barnard's star, 6 light-years away, a red dwarf drifting alone. Then Sirius, 8 light-years, the brightest star in our sky, a binary system with a white dwarf companion. Each step deeper into the galaxy increases the isolation, the lag, the fading of the signal, and the hopelessness of the return. To explore the galaxy this way, one star at a time, would take millions of years of robot travel. We would be sending messages into a bottle that we would never see opened, planting seeds that we would never see grow. It is a project for a species with infinite patience, a species that has accepted its confinement and finds joy in the seeing. But the human heart craves more than images. It craves presence. It craves the feeling of new soil, the smell of new air. This longing is what drives the sadness of the realization, the grief for the futures that can never happen. We will never walk under the double suns of Centauri. We will never see the red flares of Proxima with our own eyes. We will only see the pictures, the digital ghosts sent back by our tiny, silent avatars drifting in the dark. The Starshot probe will eventually pass out of the Alpha Centauri system, its mission complete, its battery dying. It will continue to coast through the galaxy, a piece of human debris drifting among the stars forever. It will become a wanderer, circling the center of the Milky Way, once every 200 million years. It will outlive the Earth, outlive the Sun, outlive the species that created it and gave it speed. It is a monument to our curiosity, a testament to the moment when we tried to touch the face of the neighbor. But it is also a boundary marker, a sign that says, this is as far as we can reach. The silence returns to the probe, the heavy, crushing silence of the space between the stars. It is done. It has seen. It has spoken. And now it sleeps in the endless night. The realization settles in that the gap to the nearest star is a chasm we can bridge only with our eyes, not our feet. And if the nearest star is this difficult, this heartbreakingly distant, what of the rest of the galaxy? The Milky Way contains hundreds of billions of stars, a swirling disk of light that spans 100,000 light years. If we can barely reach the first one, how can we comprehend the scale of the whole structure? The galaxy itself is a bubble, a larger island in the universe, but one that is mostly inaccessible to us. We are confined to our corner, to the Orion Arm, a quiet suburb of the galactic metropolis. The center of the galaxy, with its supermassive black hole and dense clusters of stars, is 26,000 light years away. To send a probe that would take 100,000 years, a span of time longer than human history. We are isolated not just from other galaxies, but from our own galaxy, trapped in a local pocket of space. The cosmic bubble is a series of nesting dolls, layers of isolation that wrap around us tighter and tighter. First, the Earth, then the solar system, then the local interstellar cloud, then the galaxy. Each layer is a new prison, a new limit on our ambition, a new silence to endure. The dream of a galactic empire, of ships zipping between stars like cars between cities, is a fantasy denied by physics. The reality is silence, distance, time dilation, and the lonely drift of small cold machines. As we drift further into this thought, the mind begins to grapple with the texture of the space beyond the nearest stars. It is not just empty, it is expanding, stretching, moving away from itself in a slow, relentless tearing. The fabric of the universe is not static, it is dynamic, a living thing that grows and changes over time. The distance to Alpha Centauri is relatively stable, bound by the gravity of the galaxy. But beyond the galaxy, the dark energy takes hold, and the true horror of the expansion begins to reveal itself. We have spoken of the difficulty of crossing 4 light years, but the universe is measured in billions. The scale difference is not just numerical, it is conceptual, a shift in the very nature of reality. To understand the tiny cosmic bubble of 18 billion light years, we must leave the comfort of the stars. We must venture out into the intergalactic void, the deep space between the islands of light. Here, the rules of the game change, and the speed of light becomes not just a barrier, but a trap. The Starshot probe, for all its speed, is effectively stationary on the scale of the intergalactic. It would never leave the Milky Way. It would never cross the void to Andromeda. We are bound to our home galaxy by gravity, locked in a dance that will eventually merge us with our neighbors. But the distant galaxies, the ones that define the edge of our bubble, are not bound to us. They are free, and they are leaving, riding the flow of the expanding universe into the oblivion. The sadness of the Starshot mission is a local sadness, a mourning for the neighbors we cannot visit. But the sadness of the cosmic horizon is a universal sadness, a mourning for the loss of the future. The universe is deleting itself from our view, erasing the evidence of its own vastness. We are living in a privileged time, a time when we can still see the galaxies that are destined to vanish. In the far future, the night sky will be empty, save for the few stars of our own merged galaxy. Civilizations of that time will think they are alone in a static, dark universe, with no evidence of the Big Bang. We are the witnesses to the truth, the ones who can see the bubble for what it is. And yet, this knowledge does not free us. It only defines the walls of our cell more clearly. We are the prisoners who know the size of the prison, while future generations will think the cell is the whole world. The Starshot probe is a tiny scratch on the wall of this cell, a mark that says, "We were here." It is a brave scratch, a hopeful scratch, but a scratch nonetheless, unable to bring down the wall. The silence of the Alpha Centauri system after the probe leaves is the same silence that was there before. The stars do not care that we have seen them. They continue their fusion, their burning, their dying. We are observers, ghosts passing through the dark, leaving no trace but a faint ripple of radio waves. The universe is indifferent to our striving, indifferent to our desire to connect. It simply exists, vast and cold and expanding, following the laws that dictate our isolation. And as we accept this, as we let the reality of the 4 light years sink into our bones, we feel a shift. The desire to conquer fades, replaced by a desire to understand, to witness, to cherish the light we have. If we cannot leave the bubble, we must make the bubble our home, our garden, our sanctuary. We must find meaning in the limitations, beauty in the isolation, and peace in the silence. The probe sleeps now, its sensors dark, its mission done. A piece of Earth drifting in the Centauri system. It is a seed that will not sprout, a word that will not be answered, a gesture frozen in time. But it is our gesture, our word, our seed, and that gives it a profound and aching meaning. We have reached out, and we have touched the hem of the robe of the nearest star. It is enough, and it is not enough, a paradox that sits at the heart of the human condition. We are explorers with nowhere to go, sailors on an ocean that has no other shore we can reach. And so we drift, we dream, we watch the stars, and we listen to the silence of the deep. The journey to Alpha Centauri is the first step, and perhaps the last step, of our interstellar voyage. It defines the edge of our physical reality, the boundary where the possible meets the impossible. And as we stand at that edge, looking out into the deeper dark, we begin to see the next layer. We see the galaxies, the clusters, the great walls of light that form the skeleton of the cosmos. We see the red shift, the stretching of the light, the signature of the great expansion. We see the tiny cosmic bubble in its entirety, a glowing sphere of history surrounded by the end of time. And we wonder, with a quiet and terrified awe, what lies beyond the edge of the light? What is the nature of the darkness that is swallowing the universe? The answers are not in the probe, nor in the laser beam, nor in the silicon chip. They are in the light itself, in the ancient photons that have traveled for billions of years to reach us. They are in the dark energy that pushes the galaxies apart, the invisible hand that shapes the bubble. We turn our eyes from the neighbor star to the distant horizon, and we prepare to face the ultimate limit. The limit where space itself becomes the enemy, where speed is irrelevant, and where the universe ends. If we are not content to send ghosts made of silicon and gold, we must face the terrifying physics of sending living flesh into the deep void. To transport a fragile human population across the deepening dark, we require engines that scream with the unimaginable power and violence of 1,000 dying suns. The delicate pressure of light sails is insufficient for the heavy arcs that must carry our water, our air, our bodies, and our dreaming minds. We must turn to the brutal efficiency of nuclear fire, harnessing the very forces that bind the atom together to push us against the empty night. Imagine a vessel the size of a city, a cathedral of titanium and steel, riding the shockwaves of nuclear bombs detonated just behind its massive shield. This is the concept of the nuclear pulse drive, a crude but effective method of turning the violence of the atom into the motion of the ship. It is a design born of desperation, a realization that chemical rockets are like trying to cross an ocean by throwing pebbles behind a raft. To reach the stars within a human lifetime, we must detonate a nuclear device every few seconds, riding a constant rhythmic pulse of apocalyptic explosions. The crew inside would feel the tremors of these detonations as a distant heartbeat, a constant reminder of the titanic forces required to move their world. They would be living on top of a controlled catastrophe, separated from the nuclear fire by a pusher plate of heavy, scarred, and ablative metal. This ship would leave a trail of radioactive ash across the solar system, a scar in the vacuum that marks the beginning of the long journey. It is a brute force approach to the delicate problem of interstellar travel, a sledgehammer used to crack the lock of the speed of light limit. But even this violence is barely enough to push us to a fraction of the speed required to reach the stars in a reasonable time frame. The tyranny of the rocket equation demands that for every ounce of speed we gain, we must carry exponentially more fuel to slow down again. We are trapped by the weight of our own ambition, forced to build ships that are mostly fuel tanks, carrying the mass of a mountain. To escape this trap, we look deeper into the physics of the universe, toward the ultimate energy source that lies hidden in the mirror of matter. We dream of antimatter, the shadowy twin of the substance that makes up our bodies, a fuel so potent that a few grams could power cities. When matter meets antimatter, they annihilate completely, converting their entire mass into pure, blinding energy in accordance with Einstein's most famous an absolute equation. A ship powered by this reaction would be a torch in the darkness, a streak of gamma rays and high-energy pions cutting through the interstellar medium. It represents the absolute pinnacle of propulsion, the most efficient engine that the laws of physics will ever allow a civilization to build in this universe. The containment of such volatile energy requires magnetic fields of absolute perfection, for a single microscopic mistake results in a flash of instant, total annihilation. The fuel must be suspended in a vacuum within a vacuum, levitated by invisible forces, never touching the walls of the tank that holds it prisoner. The crew would sleep knowing that a bottle of pure destruction is trapped in the heart of their ship, humming with a deadly and silent potential. This is the price of the journey, the risk we must accept to shorten the centuries of travel into something that a human mind can grasp. Yet even with the fires of antimatter burning at our backs, the universe remains stubbornly vast, refusing to shrink to a human scale for our convenience. We might reach half the speed of light, but we can never break the cosmic speed limit, and the journey will still take decades or centuries. This reality forces us to abandon the dream of the fast ship and embrace the terrifying concept of the slow boat, the generation ship. We must build a world that can survive on its own, a closed ecosystem that drifts through the silence for hundreds or even thousands of years. The generation ship is not merely a vehicle. It is a tomb for the first generation and a womb for the generations that will follow them. It is an artificial planet that must recycle every drop of water, every breath of air, and every atom of organic matter that exists inside. Nothing can be wasted, for there are no pit stops in the void, no resources to gather between the stars of the Milky Way galaxy. The dead must be returned to the soil of the hydroponic gardens, their bodies becoming the nutrients that feed the children who will never know their names. Those who launch the ship will know with absolute certainty that they will die in the darkness of the void, long before the destination is reached. They are the sacrifices, the ancestors who choose to sever their connection to the earth so that their distant descendants might walk on a new world. It requires a psychology that we do not yet possess, a selflessness that goes beyond the individual to embrace the survival of the species itself. They must look at the blue dot of Earth receding in the porthole and know that it is the last time any human will see it. As the years turn into decades, the ship moves further into the silence, and the memory of Earth begins to fade into history and then into myth. The first generation tells stories of the rain, the ocean, the wind in the trees, but to the children born on the ship, these are fairy tales. They have never known a sky that is not a metal ceiling, never known a sun that is not a fusion reactor, never felt a natural breeze. Their reality is the corridor, the bulkhead, the hum of the air scrubbers, and the artificial gravity generated by the spinning of the massive hull. Have you ever wondered if you could live your entire life inside a shopping mall, never seeing the sun, never leaving the artificial light of the interior? This is the fate of the middle generations, the people born in the void who will also die in the void, never seeing the beginning or the end. They are the caretakers of the journey, the bridge between the world that was left behind and the world that is yet to be found. They live their lives suspended in the nothingness, traveling at incredible speeds, yet effectively motionless in their own frame of reference, trapped in a metal box. The psychology of this isolation is the greatest danger to the mission, far more dangerous than the radiation or the cold or the mechanical failures. How does a society maintain its sanity when there is no outside world, no new information, no strangers, and no escape from the tribe? The social structure would likely become rigid, governed by strict rituals and taboos designed to preserve order in a fragile environment where one mistake kills everyone. Freedom would be a luxury they cannot afford, for resources are finite, and every action must serve the survival of the ship and the mission. Language itself would begin to drift, evolving in isolation until the dialect of the ship is unintelligible to the people who remained behind on Earth. New words would be invented for the sounds of the hull, the taste of the recycled water, and the specific shades of the artificial twilight. Old words like mountain, river, and cloud would become abstract concepts, holy words found only in the digital archives of the ship's library. The people of the ship would become a new species, shaped by the environment of the machine, adapted to the claustrophobia and the routine. The ship acts as their mother, their god, and their universe, providing everything they need but demanding absolute obedience to the laws of physics and survival. The silence outside the hull is a constant presence, a reminder that they are a tiny bubble of life floating in an ocean of lethal nothingness. If they were to look out the windows, they would see the stars as unmoving points of cold light, indifferent to their struggles and their long waiting. The sense of movement is lost in the deep void, for there are no landmarks to pass, no sense of speed, only the eternal black. They are suspended in amber, trapped in a long moment that stretches for centuries, waiting for a star that grows brighter only with agonizing slowness. The original crew, the ones who remembered Earth, are long dead, their bodies integrated into the biomass of the ship's farm to feed the living. The mission becomes a religion, a promise handed down from the ancestors that there is a destination, a promised land waiting at the end of the night. But doubt would surely creep in during the long watches of the night. A whispered fear that perhaps the navigation computer has failed them. What if the star is not there? Or what if the ship has drifted off course and they are moving into the empty void forever? The fear of the forever is a heavy weight, a psychological pressure that presses down on the minds of those who know nothing else. They are the lonely sentinels of humanity, carrying the genetic code of our species like a precious flame through a hurricane of darkness. And even if the ship functions perfectly, the biology of the human body may not withstand the subtle erosion of the cosmic environment over time. Cosmic rays, high-energy particles from the death of distant stars, penetrate the hull and slowly degrade the DNA of the crew over generations. Mutations would accumulate, subtle changes in the genome that might lead to sickness, or perhaps to strange new adaptations to the radiation. The crew that arrives at Alpha Centauri might not be the same humans that left Earth, but a drift-evolved branch of the family tree. They might be paler, smaller, adapted to lower gravity, their eyes sensitive to the dim light of the red dwarf star they approach. The machine itself, the generation ship, is also subject to the relentless entropy of the universe, the tendency of all order to decay into chaos. Metal fatigues, seals degrade, electronics fail, and the closed loop of the ecosystem loses a little efficiency with every passing year of travel. The crew must become master mechanics, constantly repairing the dying body of their vessel, cannibalizing parts to keep the heart beating. It is a war of attrition against the second law of thermodynamics, a battle to keep the complexity of life intact against the urge of the universe to simplify. Imagine the silence of the ship during the night cycle, when the lights are dimmed and the artificial sun is turned down to a glow. The only sound is the hum of the reactor and the breathing of thousands of sleeping people drifting together through the interstellar gap. They are dreaming of a world they have never seen, a world of blue waters and green hills constructed from the videos in the archives. This collective dream is the only thing that binds them to the Earth, a thin thread of memory stretching across the light years. But the Earth they dream of is gone, moved on by centuries of history, changed by wars and climates and time itself. If they could send a message back, they would be speaking to strangers, to a civilization that might have forgotten they were ever sent. They are a time capsule that has been forgotten by the burial ground, a seed that is floating on the wind far from the tree. This profound disconnection is the defining characteristic of the generation ship. It is an orphan in the cosmic storm. The challenge of the generation ship forces us to confront the fact that we are organisms evolved for a planetary surface, not the void. We need gravity to keep our bones strong, magnetic fields to shield our cells, and a complex web of life to sustain us. To take this web of life and put it in a metal box is an act of hubris, a desperate attempt to mimic the Earth. We are trying to build a pocket universe, a small bubble of order that can survive the transition through the chaos of the deep space. And what happens when the ship finally arrives after centuries of travel at the destination star that has been the focus of their prayers? The braking maneuver would be just as violent as the departure, a long burn of the antimatter engines to shed the incredible speed. The crew would feel the return of heavy gravity, a sensation that might be terrifying to bodies born in the spin gravity of the ship. They would look out the ports and see a new sun, a strange alien light that casts shadows in the wrong colors. They would see planets that are not Earth, worlds of rock and ice and gas that do not care that humans have arrived. The realization that the journey is over might be traumatic, a shattering of the purpose that defined their entire society for centuries. They are no longer travelers, they are arrivals, and they must now face the reality of survival on a hostile, alien frontier. The cosmic bubble has been expanded slightly, a tiny tendril of humanity reaching out to touch a neighbor. But the cost is immense. The cost is the lives of the intermediate generations, the people who were born only to keep the ship moving, the human components of the machine. They lived and died in the dark so that their great-grandchildren could walk under the light of Alpha Centauri b. It is a sacrifice that questions the very nature of individuality, asking if a human life has meaning if it is merely a bridge. This is the dark lullaby of the generation ship, a story of endurance and loss that plays out in the silence between the stars. But let us return to the deep void, to the space between the stars where the ship spends the vast majority of its existence. It is a place of absolute cold, just a few degrees above the theoretical zero, where all molecular motion ceases completely. The ship must constantly generate heat to keep the crew alive, fighting the vacuum that sucks the warmth away into the infinite sink. It is a place of darkness, where the Milky Way is a band of light but individual stars are too dim to provide comfort. The psychological weight of this darkness presses on the hull, a reminder of the insignificance of the tiny spark of life inside. The universe is mostly this: cold, dark, empty, and hostile to the delicate chemistry that makes up a human being. We are anomalies, rare fluctuations of warmth that have dared to venture into the freezer of the cosmos to see what is there. The generation ship is a defiant gesture, a candle lit in a hurricane, protected by the cupped hands of technology and hope. And yet, even this candle is trapped by the speed of light, the barrier that ensures the flame can never spread too fast. The journey to the nearest star is possible, perhaps, with centuries of effort and sacrifice, but the stars beyond are another matter. To reach the edge of the galaxy would take millions of years, a timescale that renders the concept of human meaningless. We would evolve into something else, or go extinct, long before the ship reached the other side of the Milky Way. We are imprisoned by the scales of time, just as much as we are imprisoned by the scales of distance in this universe. The generation ship solves the problem of distance by spending the currency of time, but we do not have infinite time to spend. Civilizations are fragile. They collapse, they forget, they lose the will to maintain the great projects of their ancestors. Can a ship maintain its social cohesion for 10,000 years? For 100,000 years? It seems unlikely. The tiny cosmic bubble is also a bubble of time, a limit on how long we can project our intent into the future. The generation ship is a test of our longevity, a gamble that we can outlast the silence of the void. It is a gamble that the children of the dark will not turn on each other, will not destroy the machine that keeps them alive. It is a story of ghosts, of people who are neither here nor there, drifting in the limbo of the interstellar medium. As the ship coasts through the midway point, the point where the sun and the destination star are equal in brightness, a strange equilibrium is reached. They are equidistant from the past and the future, suspended in the absolute center of their isolation. This is the moment of maximum loneliness, the point where the tether to Earth is stretched to its breaking point. The radio signals from home are years old, fading into the static, becoming harder and harder to decipher. They are listening to the voices of the dead, hearing news of wars that ended years ago, of leaders who have already passed. The disconnection becomes total, and the ship truly becomes its own independent world, a sovereign state of the void. They are no longer earthlings. They are the people of the ship, the tribe of the metal shell, the children of the night. This transformation is the true destination of the journey, the creation of a culture that is adapted to the deep space. The shocking truth of our limitations is not just that we cannot go far, but that we must change to go anywhere at all. We must become creatures of the machine, symbiotic with our technology, willing to trade our planetary heritage for the void. The generation ship is the chrysalis where this transformation happens, a cocoon of steel drifting in the dark. What emerges at the other end may not be human in the way we understand it, but something new and strange, something that does not fear the dark, something that does not miss the blue sky, something that finds comfort in the hum of the engine. The universe shapes us as we try to cross it, molding us into forms that can survive its harsh and indifferent conditions. The cosmic bubble is a crucible, a pressure cooker that forces evolution to take new and unexpected paths. And as we consider the nuclear fire and the antimatter torch, we realize they are just the tools. The real engine of the generation ship is the human spirit, the stubborn refusal to accept the boundaries of the solar system. It is a spirit that is willing to endure the darkness, the cold, and the silence for the chance to see a new sunrise. But even this spirit has limits, and the laws of physics are the ultimate arbiter of what is possible. The bubble remains, expanding slightly with our efforts, but always defining the edge of our reach. We are pushing against the walls, scratching at the glass, trying to see what lies beyond the reflection of our own faces. The generation ship is our best attempt to break out, to plant a seed in a new garden before the old one withers. But the garden is far away, and the winter between the stars is long and deep and unforgiving. The ship sails on, a tiny spark in the immense night, carrying the dreams of a sleeping species. It moves toward the red light of Proxima, toward the hope of a planet, toward the possibility of a future. But the silence of the void is vast, and the ship is small, and the universe is waiting. It waits with the patience of a stone, with the endurance of gravity, with the certainty of entropy. It knows that we are coming, but it also knows how far we have to go and how hard the road will be. As we leave the generation ship drifting in the silence, we must turn our minds to the fundamental rules that govern this waiting. We have spoken of energy, of biology, of time, but there is a deeper layer to the prison. There is a distortion that happens when we try to move fast, a warping of reality that protects the speed of light limit. We must understand the strange and terrifying effects of relativity, where time itself begins to melt. We tend to think of speed as a simple solution to the problem of distance, a way to shrink the void. If the stars are far away, we simply build a faster engine and burn a brighter fire to reach them. But the universe has built a trap into the very geometry of space, a mechanism that punishes the ambitious traveler. As we approach the speed of light, the fundamental rules of reality begin to shift and warp in terrifying ways. We enter the domain of relativity, where time is no longer a constant river, but a frozen and treacherous ocean. The speed of light is not merely a number on a speedometer, but the absolute speed of causality itself. It is the maximum rate at which the universe can update its own state, the refresh rate of reality. To push against this limit is to push against the processing speed of the cosmos, and the cosmos pushes back hard. As our hypothetical ship accelerates toward this barrier, the energy we pour into the engines ceases to increase our speed. Instead of making us go faster, the energy is converted directly into mass, making the ship heavier and heavier. This is the dark side of Einstein's famous equation, the realization that energy and mass are two faces of the same coin. The faster you move, the heavier you become, and the more energy you need to gain even a fraction more speed. It is a curve that shoots upward to infinity, a vertical wall that forbids any object with mass from touching the limit. To reach the speed of light would require infinite energy, an amount greater than the burning of every star in the sky. We are trapped on the slow side of the barrier, forever chasing a horizon that retreats as we approach it. But let us imagine for a moment that we have unlimited energy, that we can push the ship to 99%. At this speed, the universe begins to play its strangest trick. decoupling the traveler from the flow of time itself. For the crew on board, the clocks continue to tick normally, and their hearts beat at the usual steady rhythm. But outside the hull, the universe has begun to fast forward, the stars aging and dying in what feels like seconds. This is time dilation, the trade-off that nature demands for the privilege of moving across the vast cosmic distances. You are trading your connection to the present moment for the ability to move through space, becoming an exile in time. A journey to the center of the galaxy might take only 20 years for the crew on the ship, but on Earth, 30,000 years will have passed, erasing everything they ever knew and everyone they ever loved. They would return to a world that has forgotten their names, a world where their language is a dead relic. They are ghosts from the past haunting the future, separated from their own history by a wall of lost time. This is the profound loneliness of relativistic travel, a separation that is far deeper than mere physical distance could ever be. You can go to the stars, but you can never come home, for the home you left no longer exists. The Earth is a different planet, reshaped by geological and social forces that occurred while you were eating a single meal. The tiny cosmic bubble is not just a spatial prison, but a temporal one, locking us into our own era. To leave the bubble is to leave your time, to commit a kind of suicide of the self and the society. And what of the view from the window of this ship, pushing against the fabric of the speed of light? The stars would no longer look like steady points of light, but would begin to warp and shift in color. This is the Doppler effect applied to light itself, the compression of waves as we rush into the oncoming stream. The stars ahead would turn blue, then violet, and finally disappear from the visible spectrum as they shift into X-rays. The safe, warm light of the stars becomes a lethal beam of high-energy radiation, an invisible death ray aimed at us. Behind the ship, the stars would fade into the red, their light stretched out until they vanish into the radio spectrum. The universe would appear to darken, the familiar constellations distorted into a ring of fire known as the starbow. We would be flying down a tunnel of darkness with a blinding ring of invisible radiation marking our forward path. It is a visual representation of our trespass, a warning sign that we are moving faster than biology was meant to. The radiation shielding required to survive this blue-shifted light would need to be meters thick, adding even more impossible mass. We are soft creatures, made of water and fragile proteins, evolved to live under the gentle yellow light of a quiet star. To travel at relativistic speeds is to step into a particle accelerator, subjecting our bodies to the harsh physics of the high-energy universe. A single grain of dust impacting the ship at this speed would strike with the force of a nuclear warhead. The interstellar medium, which seems so empty to us now, becomes a dense minefield that can vaporize the vessel instantly. We would need to clear the path ahead with lasers of unimaginable power, vaporizing every atom before we struck it. This is the energy barrier, the E equals mc squared wall that makes macro-scale travel a fantasy of the mind. It is easy to accelerate a proton to near light speed. We do it every day in our ring colliders. But a proton has no family, no memory, no need for life support, and no desire to return to its home. To accelerate a ship weighing thousands of tons requires an energy budget that our civilization simply cannot generate or control. We would need to harness the total output of the sun, capturing every photon, and focus it into a single engine. And even then, we are only solving the problem of acceleration, not the problem of stopping at the destination. To slow down requires just as much energy as speeding up, doubling the impossible requirements of the mission fuel. We would arrive at the destination, star zooming past at the speed of light, unable to stop and say hello. The universe is designed to keep things apart, to prevent the casual mixing of worlds separated by the great void. It protects the integrity of local histories by making the connection between them prohibitively expensive in terms of energy and time. The cosmic bubble is enforced by these laws, a quarantine that keeps civilizations isolated in their own pockets of space-time. Perhaps this is for the best, a safety mechanism that prevents the spread of conflict or disease across the galaxy. But for the dreamer, for the explorer, it is a suffocating realization that the laws of physics are the bars. We are like fish in a small pond, able to see the ocean, but unable to survive the journey across the land. The ocean is there, vast and beautiful, but it belongs to a different order of existence than our own. As we grapple with the impossibility of the fast ship, we are forced to reconsider the nature of the universe. It is not a place designed for travel. It is a place designed for isolation and the slow unfolding of local events. The speed of light is the cosmic speed limit, not just for matter, but for information, for cause and effect. It ensures that the universe has a structure, that things happen in a sequence that makes sense to the observer. If we could travel faster than light, we would violate causality, arriving before we left, shattering the logic of reality. The universe protects its timeline with the same ferocity that it protects its speed limit, forbidding the paradox of the return. So we are left with the slow ships, the generation arcs, or the tiny probes that can never carry us. The shocking truth is that the stars are not destinations. They are background art, painted on the walls of our cell. We can study them, we can admire them, we can name them, but we cannot possess them or live among them. This realization brings a certain kind of grief, a mourning for the sci-fi future that we were promised but can never have. We will never have a federation of planets, never have a galactic empire, never have trade routes between the distant suns. Those stories are fantasies that ignore the cold, hard equations of relativity and the punishing cost of the kinetic energy. We are destined to be a solar civilization, perhaps expanding to the nearby stars over millions of years, but never ruling the galaxy. We will be a collection of disconnected outposts, separated by silence, evolving into different species, forgetting our common origin. The human story will not be a single narrative, but a collection of short stories that never intersect again. But there is a deeper layer to this prison, a more profound limit than the speed of light or the energy cost. Even if we could build the antimatter engines, even if we could endure the time dilation and the radiation, the universe itself is changing, expanding, moving the goalposts further away every second that we spend building our ships. The tiny cosmic bubble of 18 billion light years is not a static number. It is a shrinking horizon. The dark energy that fills the void is stretching the space between the galaxies, carrying them away from us. Every day, a galaxy crosses the cosmic horizon and vanishes from our potential future forever, lost to the accelerating dark. We are losing the universe, piece by piece, as the expansion carries the islands of light beyond the reach of causality. It is a slow, silent erasing of the possible, a darkening of the map that we can never reverse. The limit is not just how fast we can go, but how fast the destination is running away from us. And in this race, the universe always wins, for it has the infinite energy of the vacuum on its side. The now that we experience is a fleeting window of opportunity in a cosmos that is rushing toward a lonely future. In a few billion years, the other galaxies will be so far away that their light will no longer reach us. Our descendants will look up at a sky that is empty except for the stars of our own merged galaxy. They will think that the Milky Way is the entire universe, a lone island of light in an infinite black ocean. The evidence of the Big Bang, the cosmic background radiation, will have faded away into an undetectable radio hiss. We are living in the golden age of cosmology, the only time when we can see the true scale of the prison. We can see the bars, we can measure the cell, and we can understand the nature of our confinement. Future generations will be blinder than we are, trapped in a smaller bubble of knowledge, unaware of what was lost. This adds a terrible urgency to our looking, a responsibility to record the universe before it leaves us behind. We are the archivists of the cosmos, the ones who must remember the light before the eternal dark sets in. The relativistic limits we face are the bars of this cage, the physical constraints that keep us from chasing the fleeing galaxies. We are running on a treadmill, running as fast as we can, but the floor is moving backwards faster. The energy barrier of E equals mc squared is the lock on the door, a lock that requires more energy to open than exists. It is a perfect trap, designed by the laws of physics to keep the heavy matter from escaping its local origin. We are made of matter, and so we are bound by the rules of matter, condemned to sit and watch. Let us sink deeper into the feeling of this heavy mass, this resistance that the universe offers to our movement. Imagine you are in the ship, pushing the throttle, feeling the engines scream with the power of a star. But the stars outside do not blur. They remain fixed, mocking your effort, distant and cold and unreachable. You feel the weight of your own body increasing, the atoms in your cells becoming heavy with the relativistic mass. You are becoming a planet, a star, a black hole of intent, but you are not moving any faster. The universe is thickening around you, the vacuum becoming a molasses that holds you back, preventing you from breaking the rule. It is a feeling of helplessness, of fighting a force that is woven into the very fabric of existence. You are fighting the geometry of space-time, and geometry always wins, for it is the stage upon which you exist. The silence of the ship is the silence of defeat, the realization that the dream of the warp drive is over. The only way to cross the void is to surrender to the time dilation, to let the years wash over you, to let the centuries pass like minutes, to let the world you knew die and turn to dust while you travel. It is a sacrifice of the self, a giving up of the life you were given for a life you have not earned. And when you arrive, if you arrive, you will be a stranger in a strange land, a relic of an ancient past. The beings you meet will not be human. They will be the children of the void, adapted to the dark. You will be the caveman stepping into the city, the fossil coming to life, the memory made flesh. This is the price of the ticket, the cost of leaving the bubble that nature built for us in the solar system. Is it worth it? Is the view of a double sunrise worth the loss of everyone you ever loved on Earth? The answer lies in the heart of the explorer, the one who cannot sit still, the one who needs to know. But for the rest of us, the answer is likely no. We are creatures of the home, of the tribe, of the earth. We belong to the bubble, and the bubble belongs to us, a sanctuary in the hostile and expanding night. The energy barrier protects us, keeps us safe from the relativistic invaders, keeps our history intact and pure. It prevents the universe from becoming a chaotic mess of time travelers and paradoxes and high-energy collisions. It keeps the timeline straight, the cause before the effect, the past before the future, in a logical order. We should perhaps be grateful for the cage, for it is also a shield, a wall that keeps the madness out. But the human spirit does not like walls, does not like to be told no, does not like to be confined. And so we dream of the loophole, the wormhole, the warp drive, the magic that will let us cheat the bill. But the 2026 science is clear. There are no loopholes, no magic, no easy way out of the equation. The math is solid, the observations are undeniable, and the reality is settling in like a heavy fog. We are here, and here is where we will stay, sending our eyes and our ears, but never our bodies. The tiny cosmic bubble is our lot, our territory, our kingdom in the vast wasteland of the cosmos.